Good morning 10th class students. In previous class, I completed events in respiration, pathway of air into lungs, and also explained the role of epiglottis in passage of food and air. Okay. Now, in this class, I will explain about mechanism of respiration. What is meant by mechanism of respiration? One is inhalation. Second one is exhalation. United together is called mechanism of respiration. Do you know? We cannot see our lungs directly, correct or not? But we can observe the movements of lungs. We cannot see our lungs, but we can observe the movement of lungs. Do you know? Lungs have elastic nature. They may expand and they may contrast. At the time of inhalation, the lungs may expand. At the time of exhalation, the lungs may contract or collapse. So, I will explain about mechanism of respiration in the inhalation. Do you know? Our chest cavity, our chest wall is made up of ribs, skin, muscles. Our chest wall is made up of ribs, skin, muscles. Muscles helpful for movement. Do you know our lungs cannot move directly by their own? Do you know a muscular flattened muscle called diaphragm? What is meant by diaphragm? Diaphragm is a muscular flattened muscle. It is a muscular flattened muscle. Diaphragm is a muscular flattened muscle which helpful to make lungs to move forward and backward. So diaphragm is a muscular flattened muscle helps to move lungs forward and backward. Now I will explain about mechanism of respiration. Lungs cannot move there by own. Diaphragm is a flattened muscle makes lungs to move forward and backward. What is diaphragm? Diaphragm is a muscular flattened muscle which separates chest cavity with very important, write down, chest cavity with abdominal cavity. Diaphragm is a muscular muscle which helpful to separate chest cavity with the abdominal cavity. So diaphragm helpful to make lungs to move forward and backward. Now I will explain about in mechanism of respiration. In that, first one, inhalation. What is meant by inhalation? Intake of oxygen. At the time of inhalation, very important, keep it in mind, the volume of chest cavity increases. At the time of inhalation, the volume of chest cavity increases. When volume of chest cavity increases, it reduces air pressure in lungs. At the time of inhalation, the volume of chest cavity increases. This reduces the air pressure in lungs. So, air rushes into the lungs. When chest cavity increases, when volume of chest cavity increases, air pressure reduces. So, air rushes into the lungs. We know that how air enters into the lungs through nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveolus. So, that is inhalation. Now, I will explain about exhalation. At the time of exhalation means releasing carbon dioxide from the lungs. At the time of exhalation, the volume of chest cavity decreases. The volume of chest cavity decreases. When the volume of chest cavity decreases, increases air pressure in lungs. So, at at the time of exhalation, at the time of releasing carbon dioxide, the volume of chest cavity decreases. When the volume of chest cavity decreases, the air pressure in the lungs increases. So, air rushes from the lungs through alveoli, bronchiole, bronchi, trachea, larynx, pharynx, nasal cavity, nostrils, outside of the body. So, inhalation, at the time of inhalation, oxygen enters into the lungs. At the time of exhalation, CO2 come outside from the lungs. So, that is inhalation and exhalation both united together is called mechanism of respiration. Again I repeat, at the time of inhalation, the volume of chest cavity increases. When the volume of chest cavity increases, air pressure in the lungs decreases. So, air rushes into the lungs through nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli. At the time of exhalation, the volume of chest cavity decreases. When the volume of chest cavity decreases, the air pressure in the lungs increases. So, air rushes from the lungs through alveoli, bronchiole, bronchi, trachea, larynx, pharynx, nasal cavity, nostrils, outside of the body. So, that is inhalation and exhalation both united together is called mechanism of respiration. Now, I will explain about the total volume of lungs. Do you know? Already I explained in the previous class. Is two lungs are same in size means? No. Two lungs are not same in size. Right lung is larger than left lung due to the presence of heart near left side lung. Already I explained the lungs have elastic nature. They may expand when at the time of inhalation. They may collapse or contract at the time of exhalation. So, lungs are surrounded by double-layered membrane called pleura. Very important in the exam point of view. Lungs are surrounded by double-layered membrane called pleura, filled with fluid called pleura fluid. So, lungs are protected by ribs and lungs are protected by pleura fluid. And the backs, so that is protection about lungs. Lungs present in the chest cavity. And that think chest cavity is a room. Chest cavity or thoracic cavity. Think chest cavity is a room. For example, chest cavity it will be dome shaped. At the time of inhalation, the dome shaped chest wall will be flattened. And at the time of exhalation, they come to normal position. Think our chest cavity is a room, and think this is a floor. So at the time of inhalation, the thoracic cavity will be flattened, and at the time of exhalation, it will come to normal position, that is dome shaped structure. So if you will observe the total capacity of lungs. The total capacity of lungs is 5800 ml. Means 5800 ml. The total lung capacity to take up to 5800 ml of gas. At the time of inhalation, we will take only 500 ml of gas. The total lung capacity of human being is 5800 ml. At the time of inhalation, at the time of normal time, we will take only 500 ml of gas. After completion of exhalation, the lungs contains 1200 ml of gas. So, the total lung capacity of human being is 5800 ml. At the time of rest, at the time of inhalation, we will take only 500 ml of gas. At the time of complete exhalation, the lungs may contain 1200 ml of gas. Do you know, at the time of exercises or yoga, we will take complete 5800 ml of gas. At the time of running, at the time of heavy exercises, at the time of yoga, pranayama, our lungs will take total 5800 ml of gas. Now, very important in the exam point of view, how gas exchange takes place alveoli to capillaries. We don't know what is meant by capillary. Capillary means smallest blood vessel. I will explain about capillaries in the third lesson. Okay, what are capillaries? Capillaries means smallest blood vessels which present in human body. So now I will explain about how gas exchange takes place from alveoli to capillaries, capillaries to alveoli, alveoli to capillaries, capillaries to alveoli. Already I explained in the previous class. Alveoli are the units of lungs. Alveoli are the units of lungs. Each lung consists of several thousands of alveoli which increase the area of absorption. Several thousands of alveoli, uncountable. These several thousands of alveoli help to increase the area of absorption. Now I will explain about how gas exchange takes place from alveolus to blood capillaries to alveoli. Now I will explain. At the time of inhalation, oxygen, very important, oxygen enters into the alveoli. At the time of inhalation, oxygen enters into the alveoli. So, at the time of inhalation, the oxygen content in alveoli will be high. At the time of inhalation, the oxygen content in alveolus is high, and the oxygen content in blood, this is a blood capillaries, these are blood. So this is bronchiole. Sometimes in exam point of view they'll ask like this. They only will give diagram to you and they'll ask about parts and they give you arrow mark like this and they ask to fill the arrow marks. This is bronchiole and this is alveolus and this is blood capillary. These are blood cells. So at the time of inhalation, the oxygen content in alveolus is high and the CO2 content in the blood will be high. At the time of inhalation, the oxygen content in alveolus is high and the CO2 content in blood is high. So the CO2 diffuse, very important, the CO2 diffuse from blood to alveolus simultaneously. The oxygen present in alveolus diffuse into the blood. Like this, exchange of gases takes place from alveolus to capillaries. Again I repeat, how exchange of gases takes place from alveolus to blood capillaries. At the time of inhalation, the oxygen content in alveolus will be high and the CO2 content in blood is high. So, in the process of diffusion, the oxygen diffuse from alveolus to blood and the CO2 diffuse from blood to alveolus. Like this, exchange of gases takes place from alveolus to capillaries. Now, how exchange of gases takes place? Next topic. How exchange of gases? How exchange of gases takes place from bronchiole to alveolus. See here, same. At the time of inhalation, the oxygen content in bronchiole will be high and the CO2 content in alveolus will be high. So, the CO2 diffuse from alveolus to bronchiole and the O2 diffuse from bronchiole to alveolus. Same, like already we learned how exchange of gases takes place from alveolus to capillaries. At the time of exchange of gases, the gases quantity will be different. For example, if you take at the time of inhalation, the volume of oxygen content will be more in alveolus and the CO2 content in blood will be high. So, the CO2 diffuse from the O2 diffuse from alveolus to blood and the CO2 diffuse from blood to alveolus. So, like this exchange of gases takes place. Like this, exchange of gases also takes place from bronchiole to alveolus. At the time of inhalation, the oxygen content in bronchiole will be high and CO2 content in alveolus will be high. So, the oxygen diffuse from bronchiole to alveolus and CO2 diffuse from alveolus to bronchiole. So, like this exchange of gases takes place. Sometimes in exam point of view, they will ask like this. They only will give diagram and they will give arrow marks and they will ask fill the arrow marks. This is bronchiole. Already I explained. Bronchi opens into bronchiole. This is alveolus. Alveolus singular, alveoli means plural. And this is blood capillary or blood and these are blood cells. So, this is about exchange of gases from alveolar to capillary. So, in this class, I explained about mechanism of respiration, that is inhalation and exhalation, and I also explained the role of diaphragm. Sometimes they will ask about diaphragm. Sometimes they will ask diaphragm. What is the role of diaphragm? Diaphragm helps to make the lungs to forward and backward. In exam point of sometimes they will ask like this. If diaphragm is not there, what will happen? Do you know children? Lungs cannot move there by own. Lungs cannot move there by own. Diaphragm only helpful to make lungs to move forward and backward. What will happen if diaphragm is not there? Diaphragm is absent. Lungs cannot move forward and backward. Inhalation and exhalation become difficult and the person may dies due to lack of inhalation and exhalation. So, if diaphragm is absent, what will happen? If diaphragm is absent, both inhalation and exhalation does not take place. Why? Because lungs cannot move there by own. No, diaphragm only makes lungs to move forward and backward. So, due to the absence of diaphragm, lungs cannot move and inhalation exhalation become difficult and the person may die. So, this is about the role of diaphragm, inhalation and exhalation and exchange of gas alveoli to capillary. In the next class, I will explain about transport of gases by blood. Thank you.